In the previous video, we talked about applying to business school, and the three major areas that I started with are, the personal reflection on your short and long-term goals on why an MBA, or you're researching the companies, the different positions, the job descriptions, so you understand specifically what companies are you targeting, or what types of companies and types of roles, the schools and all the information about each one of the schools that you want to consider in targeting a school. Well, also the networking, what are the different ways to reach out, and then also the last comment, making a journal or a log to keep track of all this information. The next section that I'm going to talk about first is I'll just say money. You could say finances, but money and the GMAT, the GMAT test. So first, for money, there's an estimate. I would say your school website wants to be, it should be your first bet, but your total costs that they'll post on the website are your tuition. There's associated fees for books that you have to get, your room and board if you're going to be commuting, but there's also some things that they won't list on there. There might be international programs, student groups, etc. There may be a number of other things that you want to partake in that are above and beyond what the cost is. What I've heard from an institution I went to visit is that they expect you to have 10% of the total costs. So keep that in mind. I know many people that didn't have that 10% going in, but just keep that in mind as you're going through the process. Another is, in terms of money, is make a pre-application budget. And what does that mean? All the fees that you're going to spend up until, well, including actually applying. I would make an estimate of those fees, and you may not think that they're going to be significant, but they can be. So first, every time you take the GMAT, that costs money. If you take a GMAT course, if you get a tutor to push you over the edge, whether it be, those are all examples of some of the fees. If you're going on school visits, or you're going to conferences, you have the lodging, you have the food, the travel. These are all things that can add up. And then there's the actual application. Each application is pretty expensive, depending on the institution. So those are all things you want to consider. So I'd recommend making this pre-application budget. It's something that, let's put it in orange, so you remember this is something that I recommend creating as you're going through the process. So the GMAT. Just let's start up front. You are capable of, I'll put, rocking the GMAT. Everyone may start at a different level because they're used to standardized test taking or not, but we are all capable of doing well on the GMAT. And the reason I say that is because it's a test that teaches you that's testing how well you know how to take that test. It's not about intelligence or it may be about capacity to learn how to take that test. It's one of those things that many schools use as an indicator, just like GPA. So I would consider taking it as your target. I would set a target for yourself. I would the average score of the MBA program and this can be found on the website, or when you can go to different places to get information about the schools. You can go to Business Week's website or U.S. News. Those are each areas that you can research, some of the information on the schools. But the average score of the program, and then also consider if you're, you have to balance out if your, let's say your GPA is under the average score, you might want to compensate by getting a above average score on the GMAT. We can talk about that later, but you should create a target and set the bar high. What I recommend doing is taking a class. So the class that I took was Manhattan GMAT. There's also Veritas Prep. So these are the two websites that I looked into that I'd recommend. There is no one one website. You should also check out MBA.com. That is where you go to register for the actual exam. They give 2 free practice exams, but I would not take those exams right away. And since those are real exams with old questions, I would keep those for last, right before you're going to take the real test. So what I recommend is simply taking a course, and if you cannot take a course, whether you take a course or you don't take a course, create a schedule and stick to it. It's just an important to do. How long? One of the questions I get is how long did it take? People say it takes 3 to 6 months. It took me about 4. The investment of time, I spent 10 to 12 hours per week studying. So it's it's about consistency and trying to pinpoint the things that you're doing wrong and get better. Some people do it faster. Some people do it. Some people it takes longer. Another thing I would recommend doing is, as you're going through a schedule, I would, if you do it on your own, I would recommend going to Manhattan GMAT, getting the set of books, and having the official guide, and going through it. What I would do is, I think in the books, do not write in the books. This may be a pain, but one of the things that I did was I created I had sticky notes. So let's just pretend this is a sticky note, and on the sticky note, I put numbers on the sticky note. And each one of them was, I made small, representations of the problems that I put down, like made small problem sets of the problems that I was going to do. And then what I did was I created a grid of, and this is a very rough representation, but you get the idea. I created a grid. It's all on the side of so I posted the problems, I put the grid, then I put A, B, C, D, E. I aligned it with the grid, and then I would go through the book and mark in here. I got here I marked this one as X, and then for this one I did, for that one I marked, and then I would go back and check them, and then the ones that I got right, I would leave alone. The ones that I got wrong, I would I would circle, you know, and I would keep the sticky notes and go back to them. At the bottom of the page, I would also put at the bottom of the page, I would also put the book, the page number, you know, the page numbers that these problems came from, and that's how I kept track. So I'd make the small problem sets in order to break it up, and also not write in the book so that I can go back to the book. I can read problem 25, and there would be no markings on that problem, so it was like I was looking at it for the first time. So that's an example of how I went about the GMAT. You know, really sticking to a schedule. You know, the problems that you get wrong, review. You know, incorrect problems. That is the key. Really correcting your mistakes so that you can move to the next step. Another thing that I did was I took the full practice test at the day and the time that I knew I was going to take the real test. So full practice test, I knew I was going to take it, you know, 3 months from now on a Saturday at 8 a.m. because you can book it on the MBA.com website. So every time I took a practice exam, I took it, not every Saturday, but every time I did take it, I took it on a Saturday at 8 a.m. So I got used to taking the test at that time. So that's a little bit about money, a little bit about the GMAT. Next section I will talk about essays and the overall strategy of applying to business school. See you in the next video.